This bonus episode of the Dr. Nones podcast brought to you by Patreon.
Ooh,
I am so tired. Let's start the questions.
velvety smooth. Sir.
Thanks when I was going for velvet. I was going for quilted velvet. Like
Last
bog
week was a bit suede feel of her, but now she's
a
more
suede feel of her.
Aye.
So that was more velvet.
Aye.
How would that feel? Maybe I'll go
Suede's
for.
a rougher velvet
I'll go for corduroy next week. A mixture of velvet and
Aye.
suede.
of lines. And
Aye.
stuff.
Did I tell you about me trying on a £400 jacket the other week?
No, it's
Was
why the
in-
weight of a jacket.
Well done. That wasn't bad. I just had a moment where I realised I'm past my sexual peak.
Oh no,
So class looking jacket was in All Saints in Belfast.
right?
Looked at the price tag for £400. I'm never going to buy this.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I'll try it on just to feel what £400 feels like.
Uh-huh.
I put it on. I was like, fuck me, that feels of me. I feel class. I feel like Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious 1. And I looked in the mirror and I looked like I was in Top Gear. I looked like, do you know, like if your dad has a mate who gets divorced at 50? Just go, I had the time of my life, stay as late as I want. Fucking she kept my kids, kept a dog, don't want to kill myself. Look great.
What was of an IDTT?
Hey, fuck off.
Right.
I haven't even really bought an RTT, I've just leased one.
Right. Thank you to all our patrons as always for the questions. And if you're listening to this from, well, you're probably if you're
If
on,
you're listening to this and you're not on Patreon, how?
well, you are because you'll be listening to this, but it's 8 weeks old, and you'll be sitting there going, Jesus, that's
know,
old
it's-
stuff.
it's 8
Oh
weeks.
well,
I mean,
if
that's-
you're
I mean,
a
that's-
patron, you get it
aye.
fresh.
That's the difference between a newborn baby and a wee infant.
Aye, 'tis. Right.
8 weeks you can near hold your head up. You know what I mean?
Do you know what I was told now? It would explain a lot about me
Uh-huh.
and my girth
Who's
Right.
my girth?
around the waist.
Ah, right.
My granny fed me a hard-boiled egg at 6 weeks old. 6 weeks old?
How do you even? You obviously mush it up in a cup.
Aye.
You weren't peeling it yourself, like.
No.
Any
Fucking
salt there,
hope not.
Granny?
It wouldn't surprise me enough. 6, just me mentioned that. I was like, that's like child abuse. If
No.
you were give a child, but obviously,
I mean, in fairness, you look like she's still feeding them.
well, she expanded the stomach.
More
from
butter,
an early
Granny.
age.
Fuck it, come on. In for a penny, in for a pound.
The stomach was never going to shrink. Right, shout out.
I'm gonna let you finish. Sorry.
First,
Sorry. Sorry.
stop it.
Just poaching the limelight off you there. Sorry.
Right.
Benedict. Nope. Nothing.
No, not done.
No.
Shout out, Violin Mick. What's happening, Mick?
Violin.
Yes, lads. Loving the new studio and branding as sexy as yourselves. Thank you. Mickey, I know you've been full-time as a stand-up for an age, but when did you take the jump from having a day job and gigging at night to going, fuck it, it's now or never?
It's a very good question, Mick. I'm glad you asked that. I didn't actually take the jump. What happened was I was working in the civil service, had the easiest job of all time.
That's right.
I was on a temporary contract, and when the contract ran out, I went, "Am I fuck getting the job harder than this?" That's pretty much what happened.
Actually explain to me the timeline of that. So when did Find Me the Funny or Show Me the Funny?
So Find Me the Funny was 2009,
Right, okay.
and then that was in the summertime. I started working in the civil service 2010
Right, okay.
or the end of 2009. It was January 2010. I started working in the civil service because I remember going in on my first day and a couple of people were going, "There's your you're on that thing."
Right.
And I was like, what the fuck am I even doing here? I'm famous. Skint though. And then, because I remember in that job, we were filming LOL, which is where I met Geddes.
Yes.
So you'd me, Shane, Geddes, Aisling B, Yasmin Akram, a star-studded cast of newcomers. And I took a week off work to film the TV show. And I remember being brought in for a disciplinary, right? Now, bear in mind, but this job, there were 7 people and there were 4 tasks that would be carried out. I've talked about this a few times.
Yeah.
One of the jobs was watching the back door, but you couldn't stop anybody coming through the door. You just had to fucking sit and watch it. One job was handing out the ticket for the dole. So you just have a machine that does that in most dole offices. There you go. The other job was delivering the mail in the building.
Uh-huh.
So the mail would arrive and you'd separate it into the big run and the wee run.
Right.
Now, this is how they keep it interesting. The big run was a smaller run than the wee run. Wee run was a bigger, with more people. That involved having 2 hours. If you got the meal, you had a 2-hour lunch for a week. So you could get steaming
Deadly.
during lunch. And the other job was just be on hand in case a water bottle ran out. So I was brought into the office and the manager goes, now I know you do this comedy thing on the side, but you have to really understand that this job has to come first. And I was like, and she went, now way upstairs there and changed that water bottle.
Oh.
And I remember thinking two things. One, everybody in that job was depressed as fuck. And two, I would give up on all my dreams if you let me stay here. Because it was a piece of piss. But the building itself was filled with people who'd started working in the civil service at 16 and never left. So they were all still, it was like a time warp. They were all still wearing the same style of clothes.
That is a civil service.
Do you know what I mean? Nobody had, like, they all had the same haircuts they had. Even though they were going bald and grey and fucking...
Nobody's allowed to change anything.
Couldn't do anything.
I had a friend of mine who went to work in the civil service in Belfast, and he had moved to Belfast, wife and all that sort of stuff, and what is it, the gas yard, gas works building, place where the apartments are all there, and he started in a department, and he realised after about 3 or 4 weeks, he was like, fucking, it's taking a long time for shit to get done, and so like he was doing work in half a day that was taking other boys 5 days to do. And so he came up with an action plan on how to streamline the resources and to make them more efficient. And they moved him to Bangor.
Seriously?
He has to commute in and out every day now.
For being good at his job?
For being good at his job and trying to make things better. And they're like, don't fucking change things.
When we worked in that place, I remember there was a point where you would sometimes you would just go and hide. Because there was nothing to do. And you'd be told to do something like it was of the utmost importance, and you felt stupid even doing it. I remember the day I was going into that place, I got a taxi. I stayed at my sister's student house the night before and got a taxi into the Corporation Street where the building was. And the taxi driver goes, is it where you're heading to? I was like, oh, Corporate Street. And he goes, your first day? And I went, how do you know? He goes, because you're wearing like a fucking shirt and trousers. He's like, you'll not be doing that. Because I worked in there. He goes, I tell you now, you're going to do some serious shitting. And I was like, what do you mean? There's that little to do. You'll just go for a shite just because you're bored. One day there was a guy called Anthony worked in there, and I walked into one of the rooms and he was just standing behind a pillar. Upright. Standing behind a pillar. I was like, what do you do? He's like, I'm just hiding. It's a fucking grown man with kids, like.
Just adult hide and seek.
And it was, what happened was there was 3 of us that were temporary. Everybody had a degree and another job, another career path, and we're just doing this as a stopover. And then 4 people who worked there full time. And the ones who worked there full time were warped by weirdness.
Yes.
Like, warped, like, and very bitter, very angry people. Angry that they've spent their youth in this place.
Yeah.
Like, when I worked there...
You smell the wasted dreams.
When I worked there, and this is, again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, I don't know if I've told this before. We were sitting, the victims of Bloody Sunday had been exonerated. So when was that, 2010, 2011?
Yeah, 2010, 11, yeah.
And there was a woman there whose husband was in the army. And she was very, very English, very proud to be English. No problem with that, fucking whatever, right? And she opened the Irish News and it had a picture of all the victims of Bloody Sunday. And she went, I'm not being rude, but all I'm saying is, if you weren't there, you wouldn't have been hurt, would you? Right? But she was also wearing a Help for Heroes badge. And I just pointed at it and got told off. And I was like, she fucking started it. Do you know what I mean? Like, but
what a statement.
Well, I know. I was full of that one. I mean, like, at the time when they said to me, like, theoretically, would you have any problem raising the Union Jack on a flagpole? And I was like, nah. And the boss went, brilliant, Hugh's going to show you how to do it at lunchtime. And I was like, no. I'm not.
Oh, you meant me physically?
I thought you want me to actually do it. And it wasn't that of any, because I don't give a fuck, it's only a flag. It doesn't matter. But I'm afraid of heights. So I went, no, I'm genuinely afraid to climb up ladders. And they were like, fuck up and do it. And I'm not a sectarian person, but I got sectarian. And I sang the Fields of Athenry as I pulled that flag off. And I put it on upside down by accident. I didn't know there was a top to the Union Jack.
Yes.
But it said top on the flag, and I went, well, fuck that then. It's like whenever you do the dishes wrong, so you never have to do them again.
Never. Okay.
I did that. So yeah, in answer to the question, what happened? Yeah, I just didn't want to get another job. And I mean, I'd started getting paid and stuff. There was enough coming in per month to get by.
So was your first stand-up gig in 2009 then?
My first stand-up gig was 2008.
2008? Oh, that was the one you told us that one.
Yeah, my first stand-up gig was technically 2005.
That's right, okay, right, yeah.
2005, 2006.
That's right.
So I had already been doing stand-up about a year and a half when Find Me the Funny happened.
Right.
Which is why I remember Adam Loughlin saying it to me. Adam, when he watched the show, they introduced me as call centre worker, because I was working in a call centre at the time. And Adam Loughlin, friend of the show, was like, hey, that's fucking lousy, hey, because you're a comedian, hey.
It's very
I
good
was like,
Adam.
cheers, man.
It's very good Adam Loughlin impression.
Yeah, motherfucking Jeremy Beadle. Bullseye.
Right, on to a more highbrow question now.
Okay.
Here's a real testing question for you. Mm-hmm. Would you rather be pushed 2 inches into your mum or 2 inches into your dad?
Right, so pushed, which means forced. I'd say my dad, he'd cope with it better.
See, I'd say my ma. Because I've been there before. Right, next
but
one up.
you've been pulled out, you haven't been pushed back in.
Fucking Jesus
At least
Christ.
with Frank, he wouldn't remember it.
That's true.
Andy'd be relaxed, so it wouldn't be much of a
He
force.
wouldn't give a fuck right now, fine. And we hardly speak anyway, so... I mean,
No. Do you know what I mean?
now we just don't
If
love
me and
each
my
other.
dad are close enough that we could be like, remember that time that fella made you go 2 inches into me? I was like, rough day, wasn't it that? No, I can.
Actually, Frank would have got too.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Fuck, oh, someday, wouldn't it?
Aye. My mad never looked at me the same, and I'd be like, it wasn't my idea. I'm sorry, Mum.
Yeah. That's them questions we hate,
Yeah.
but they keep giving them to us.
And we also keep answering them.
Yeah, that's true.
So, we're as bad.
Next up, me and the lads finally got to see Mickey on Saturday night in Ballymena for the first time. Fair to say he killed it. Does this change your opinion on the Ballymena crowd, Mickey?
See, now, what I should say about the Ballymena crowd is when I've said about I always have bad gigs in Ballymena, what I meant was it's not when I'm doing an hour, but when I've done compilation shows or support for other comedians.
Right, okay.
I've always died in my home Ballymena.
Okay. But not at the weekend, obviously.
But yeah, Saturday was great.
A lot of great
Really, really good
Good
fun.
time, aye.
Really good time. And again, because you're still working on the show, so I've only got that show to where I wanted to be like the last week or two.
Mad.
And in Ballymena, I chopped a whole fucking chunk of stuff out, and it was still an hour, which makes you go, how have I done an hour, cut 10 minutes out and still done an hour?
Because you're doing an hour and 10.
Oh yeah, it was an hour and 10 minutes.
And Dilly's an hour and 10 hour.
You got good to me. I was having fun. So.
That's when we know you're having fun. Right, next up, about you lads. Do you believe in the sexy mirror theory? I have one in the spare room, which makes me look pretty good, but the one in the main bedroom makes me look a stone heavier. Do you have a go-to mirror to give you a wee boost before you hit the town?
I've only got one mirror in my house.
I don't look at it. I don't look at mirrors.
There is a sexy mirror, like mirrors in gyms. You look fantastic, and it's about the lighting. So in a gym, all the lights above you. Mm-hmm. So when you look in the mirror in a gym, you go, "Fuck me, this is working already." But then you get home to your own house and you go, "How long a wee minute? I was fucking looking like Arnie 10 minutes ago."
And where are the lights in your house? Are they on the wall?
No, but what I'm saying is a light in the gym. All the lights are like spots or
Oh,
strip
right,
lights
okay.
above you.
Right.
Whereas the light in your house might be over there.
Ah, okay, right.
So it's not directly above.
I never, ever, ever would look in a mirror to see.
Never look in a mirror that's tilted back at an angle. That shows you the truth.
Oh, okay. Like there's 6 mirrors in my bedroom.
Kinky. One on the roof, no?
None on the roof.
None on the roof. Would you? No, we've answered that question before too.
Nah, there's no
Mirrors on the roof wouldn't be up for it.
Nah. Put me off fucking doing anything.
Oh, I wouldn't want to wake up and see myself.
Oh,
Look.
Jesus, scared the shit out of me. Right, what's the funniest / weirdest reason you've heard for someone getting sacked? Pissing in curry sauce is probably, that sticks in my mind. Like,
I still think. Do you remember? I'll not use his name. But do you remember that comedian from Cookstown
yes,
that made the video with the pig's head?
yes,
And he stole a pig's head from an abattoir that he worked in
yes.
to make a video, and they sacked him for it.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best. That's
was a
definitely
wild
one of the
video
best. I don't know if the video ever got out, but he basically wore a zip up top with a high collar, put the pig's head on top of his head, and pulled the top up and drove out of the car park, and they sacked him.
He was a mad bastard.
He was a mad herd.
Fuck, I love him. Yeah, so I know a guy who used to work for a factory that made curry sauce. Mm-hmm. Well known too, probably sold all throughout the north, and was sacked for urinating in said curry sauce.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I still think he's a legend. It was 20 years ago, like, but still fucking deadly.
I had curry sauce 20 years ago.
Right. Do you think you'll do another live podcast in the future?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're
making
trying to get one
plans.
before Christmas. We're trying to get a wee Christmas one if we can, but it's just finding it difficult to get a venue at the moment. So we'll keep you posted. Patrons will get the first shout on tickets, as always. Right, next up, the bro-in-law had an accident recently and will be laid up for about a year, potentially leading to a leg off. For the last 14 years, I've been on the receiving end of one-ball jokes because of cancer. My question is, how long do I have to wait to be allowed to send him the Footloose soundtrack and some and some tap dance lesson gift vouchers. Shout out there, man, Andy. It's. I mean, I love this place.
Man,
Like,
there's nothing better.
I love
than
it. Like,
that.
we had that same thing in our family. You know, my uncle was diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor,
Uh-huh.
and like he was based in America, so it was emails back and forth before even Facebook time, whatever. And the fucking abuse was
Aye.
unreal because he was
It's a tension breaker. Like,
it's a tension breaker, but he was always like, if I was to say, if somebody said to me, "Where in your family did you get?" It was from him. Like he was a
Aye.
fucking he he worked for Notre Dame University. He was a professor in biomedicine.
Mm-hmm.
He used to sign his emails to all his colleagues, SABCFU, right? So they thought it was always like some sort of medical
Like
letters after his
qualification,
name,
yeah.
qualifications, so they never questioned it. It was suck a big cock for Ulster, right? Every email, well, and only his close friends knew what it was. But everybody else, all these ones had a
That's
clue,
phenomenal.
right? So we had these emails back and forth, man, and it was like, let's find the best songs for Stevie, and oh my fucking god, man, you can imagine like the fucking Can't Get You Out of My Head,
Aye.
Kylie Minogue, fucking Insane in the Membrane, and all this sort of stuff. It was fucking so dark. But it was our way of dealing with it as
Aye.
a family. That's how we you know, that's just how we operate.
You have
You
the-
probably wouldn't do it out in public, obviously.
Aye.
You know, even with other people who weren't family. But at that time, it was just a closed group.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
like
fucking.
See, I thought whenever my auntie's wake and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
the funeral, we're all pissing ourselves laughing. I remember going to see her at one point when she found that she'd stage 4 cancer, and she was like fucking, and she was like, I don't even care about the cancer. I'd see the amount of times I've had somebody's finger up my fucking ass, and I was howling. She was going, at least you're laughing. The rest of them are all freaking out. Like, I would, once. I mean, give it a wee while to let the fella get used to it, and then immediately just throw the other shoes out. Just go into his house and throw all his other shoes out. Throw the wrong shoes out.
It'd be fucking be handy for shoplifting. Shoes. No, we only put one out.
But what if it
As long as
depends
it's other foot,
it's
you're
thing.
fucked.
Yeah.
That'll be my luck. All right. Right. I found quarterbacks. Can't send you the pick on here for some reason. 30p in Randallstown. We'll bring some to the Crumlin gig. Now we're fucking talking. This is
Oh, these are crippies?
quarterbacks. American cheeseburger flavor.
Oh, I remember you were.
Anyway.
Oh, no, where he goes.
Hi, Maggie. Just following up on a request from last week's podcast. I used to work in the Hollywood Bar and Zodiac's nightclub around 99, 2000. A Joker cocktail. Now, get a pen and piece of paper.
Oh, baby, finally.
Get a pen and piece of paper and write this down. And if you're listening, I want to see people making this cocktail and tagging you in it and tagging the podcast throughout the whole week.
Bear with me.
So, a Joker cocktail is vodka,
Okay.
advocate
Advocate.
pre-mixed with lime.
Okay. Like lime cordial?
It just says pre-mixed with lime. I assume it must be cordial because I kind of mind it's just lime pieces, but
Aye.
ice and Fanta. So no Morgan Spice anywhere.
See, here's the thing. Now, I got a message from Pete Giffen, comedian, who said that somebody he knows worked in there.
Well, how long? I'm about to finish this message. So this is a shout out to my mate Dwyer for confirming. He worked behind the bar for years. I'm sure you'll remember the jelly bean cocktail too.
Oh, no. Oh, I do! The black thing.
I don't know. What to find out about the black thing?
There was like looked, if I'm right, it looked like it was like a dark colour.
Right, okay.
Or was
Right.
it green?
Shout out, James,
Oh,
give us a shout,
orange.
let us know what the crack is. So there you are. A Joker cocktail is vodka, advocate, pre-mixed with lime, ice, and Fanta.
So someone told me here it's vodka, triple sec, avocado, Fanta, and Sprite. I suppose it would be the lime.
Maybe.
Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to have to try and make that.
We're going to have to try and figure that out, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get 17-year-old blocked again. I'm going to be sick.
Right, all right, lads. What's the largest sum of money or biggest prize you've ever won? Keep her lit.
I won a 10 on a scratch. No, I won about £100 in the lottery on their app.
Oh,
you do
yeah,
these
yeah.
scratch cards.
All right, okay.
And I won a fucking clean fortune one night. And I realised it was an algorithm trying to get me to spend more money on it.
Yeah.
It's very
Yes,
clever too.
very
Because
smart.
I found myself going, oh, this is how gambling starts.
Oh, yeah, very easy.
Yeah.
I one time won big, and that was maybe 22, 23 years ago, and it was a football bet. So me and a mate of mine got there was a thing used to be done where it was 2 from each section, and there was 5 sections, so you had about 10 teams, 10 results, which is a hard thing to do. You don't do football bets, do you? Nev, do you football bets? No, these are fucking useless. Very hard to get. The most you'll get maybe is 6 or 7, maybe an 8 or whatever. So all 10 came through, and one of them was a draw, and that game wasn't been played until a Sunday. So we had 9 games up on the Saturday. Had to go to bed, waiting until the Sunday to happen to see if we're going to win. And so this is 23 years ago, obviously a long time ago. So we won £5,628 between us. And like a fucking, we thought we were millionaires. Like, absolute fucking millionaires. We were getting taxis from like the community house in Oma to the Copper Tap. You know what I mean? They were like
wearing matching suits and all, like fucking
unreal. But
like
you know
Jerry
what?
Conlon.
The same fucking fancy shoes.
He's wearing your shoes, Jerry.
The weird thing was like the amount of people. Like I was 18 and my mate was 2 years older, so about 20, say, and it was strange the amount of fucking like older men and women coming up going, "Geez, you want a bit of money?" Just trying to get a fucking free drink off you in a pub or trying, And I was like, imagine if you won millions.
I wouldn't.
That was
tell
just
anybody.
a couple of thousand.
I
Like,
wouldn't
it
tell
wasn't.
fucking anybody.
It was life changing for us for about 3 months. We spent it all and spunked all that. Like, but yeah, imagine if you had millions and people just coming up to you constantly expecting something for free.
I couldn't fucking. I went to uni with a guy who won like a mad accumulator.
Right.
Now I don't know how true this is. I remember someone saying it was something like 36 grand.
Could be, yeah. Some of them are massive, like, yeah.
And it fired him into a hole of gambling, and he gambled it all the way.
Nice, yeah.
So there was a bookies with a bar next to it in Muff or Maville or something like that.
Right.
And he would go there every day, sit in the bookies, drinking pints, putting bets on, get his dinner from the bar brought into the bookies.
Jesus.
And just spunked it all the way. Like,
yeah. It's one of those ones.
It's the only vice I don't get.
I do it still, but I'll spend £10 on a Saturday. I'll do a couple of bets just to keep the interest in the scores. And again, I can't watch the scores because of Ruby, so I'm usually just on my phone fucking getting updates. But like, I shouldn't, because I've had the big one. Like, same as your guy. Once you've had that, you're never getting that again.
So
it's
a flip.
Just, like take it and fucking run. Like, you should never try and but that's the gambling thing, is the chasing. But then there was a famous thing, like a gambler knows the only reason they're doing it is to lose.
Because you need to know when to hold them, when to fold them, like, when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money sitting at the table.
Definitely not.
And I can't remember the rest of those lyrics.
Never know.
Never
sing it every weekend.
And he,
right now.
it's time enough indeed, Nev.
When the dealing's done, sir.
Fucking
won the deal.
Handed him a bottle, and he drank down my last swallow.
Okay.
Tight bastard he was. Fucking give him a backwash and all. Old gambler spit. Fucking bits of crisps and all of us. Couldn't even finish my coke. No. Fuck's sake. Floaters.
Oh no.
That's what I'm talking about.
Moving swiftly along to something a lot less disgusting. What's your worst ever public toilet experience?
Oh, interesting. Yesterday, I had, obviously, we're chatting in the previous podcast, doing a gig in a bar in Derry that will remain unnamed. A lovely establishment.
Yeah.
I got there early, and on the way up to the gig, the farmers have been spraying fields, and I couldn't be confident that the smell I was smelling wasn't me, because it was flatulent.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, I wonder, can I wait to get home?
Gaseous clay.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Australia versus England in the gases. I don't know. And
the gaseous sounds like a fucking porn film.
Yeah. But I got to the bar. I'm not saying that the bar we were in isn't a wonderful establishment, but the male toilet, there was no lock on the door.
Oh, no.
The female toilet was out of order. And the disabled toilet door was too big for the door frame and wouldn't close.
Excellent.
So what I did was, I thought, smart boy, I said, I'm going to go get something out of the car here. And I went up to the Maldron Hotel. Now, thankfully, when I walked in, there was nobody at the foyer.
Yes.
And there was nobody in the hotel bath. It was just me on my own in that place. It was bad.
Right.
It was. Do you know when you wipe your arse and you go, I don't even need to look at that paper because it's too slippy. I know it's not clean yet.
Lovely.
And I was having a panic attack because it looked like it was going to run out of toilet paper. It was that thin hotel toilet paper too that was kind of breaking. Do you know, like when not even on impact, when it enters the atmosphere, it's starting to fall apart.
Fall apart.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's no heat shield. It's like
the air's going through.
Yeah, it's like the Columbia shuttle. Do you know what I mean? Need another 7 astronauts. it was not good, and it was very percussion-y.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean? The kind of thing where, and in a big empty bathroom where you're going, this is echoing.
A lot of reverb.
A lot of reverb. I was started to sweat. It was everything you don't want to happen in a public toilet. And then, do you ever have this sort of situation where you're in a public toilet, you're having a shit, you're like, oh fuck, I just want to get out of here. You wipe your arse, and then you realise that in wiping your arse, what you've done is poke more stuff about, and you're like, oh, there's more up there.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like trying to take a bird's nest out of a chimney.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. And then I walked out of that toilet, sweat upon my brow and upper lip, and there was a girl behind the reception who looked at me as if, how long have you been in there? And I looked at my watch and it had been 20 full minutes.
So shout out to the Maldron who clearly had to get a plumber in.
I spent more time on the toilet than I spent on stage last night.
And I assume it was the Maldron, so it wasn't like the other place. There was no Superman.
Oh, it was perfect.
Did you have to do a Superman shade?
Superman shit.
No, there's no lock on the door.
No, it was great.
No.
Well, I took my shoes off and everything. That's my advice now. If you're ever stuck in Derry, if you're stuck short notice, I always say Witherspoon's toilets.
Yeah, a hotel in general is always going to be good.
But the Maldron Hotel is up there now in my favourite places to shit. And I would like to apologise for lowering the value of the entire street. But yesterday that happened to me.
Right, next up, with Garth Brooks shows on very soon, what band or artist would you like to see less? So which one we don't see less? Okay. And also, why after all the crying the first time round is every cunt on his aunt selling tickets on Facebook? I didn't see that. I don't be on Facebook, so I don't know that.
Seeing loads of people selling tickets for Garth Brooks.
Right, okay. Who would least like to see?
I'd love to see Garth Brooks.
I would watch it for the show because nostalgia thing. I would remember.
There's a video on YouTube.
I would remember all them early '90s songs, and after that, I wouldn't.
There's a video on YouTube of Justin Timberlake playing Texas, and Garth Brooks comes out, and Justin Timberlake and Garth Brooks do Friends in Low Places,
right?
And it is phenomenal.
Fuck, I didn't say that. Who would you really not want to see?
Picture this. I couldn't really that shit again.
That would be rough. Snow Patrol.
I don't mind Snow Patrol.
No, that's a fucking paint dry.
I couldn't go see the likes of like Little Mix or those kind of girly pop Steps. I would rather rip my own fucking dick off than go see Steps.
I'm trying to think of modern day, like today, like what's out now.
Westlife, they're back on tour. I couldn't go to that.
Yeah, any of that sort of shit. Nathan Carter or anybody in that Irish country scene.
Aye.
Yeah, that'll do. I'd rather go and see the Cool Hand String Band, not right, Nev?
No, tell you who I'll never see again, Stephen Fretwell. To be honest with you, I was that drunk I didn't see him the first time, but still.
You knew that one song?
I knew that one song.
Yeah.
Run like the wind.
Right, hi lads, great show on Maher Felt. Mickey, even my girlfriend found you funny, and that's pretty hard. But the whole time there was two women behind me talking and then pretending to laugh when they heard everyone else laughing. They left halfway into the show. Do you guys on stage ever notice this? And what would your actions be? I was very tempted to turn and tell them to shut up, but I just threw a few dirty looks. Well, thank you, first of all, for throwing the dirty looks, because we need that.
Appreciate it.
Every venue should have a shoulder tapper.
Absolutely.
Now, whether it be as a bouncer or a person who does
and they should tap the shoulder with a billy club.
Yeah. You get one tap on the shoulder, say, please keep it down. The second tap is, let's go. And just refund them at the front. The acts will completely be happy enough for you to refund them at the front.
Every venue should have the guy from Belfast and Michael Collins, like, I'm going to show you Southern boys how to do this.
Yeah.
Everybody should have one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maher Felt was very, like I said this in the previous podcast, the lady in the front row who kept laughing, it was uncomfortable.
Right.
To the point, like, it was distracting. I couldn't tell if I was doing well.
Right, okay.
And she was so loud and it was so kind of like embarrassing. And maybe it's just her genuine, her laugh is just very loud and boomy. And she looked like she was getting embarrassed by it. And then the people around her were kind of, there's always something strange, and this isn't to take away from anything, but it's not a negative thing. I find that if you're gigging in a town where everybody in that audience knows each other, it's a different dynamic.
Absolutely.
So you're then competing with people who they're maybe coming down just because something's on. Yeah. They've maybe never heard you before, don't know what the crack is. They're just down to watch something. Yeah. And sometimes you find that you being on stage is actually interrupting their night.
And the other thing is too, when you land a town like that, you don't know the internal politics.
Aye.
you know, there's people in there. There's somebody used to go out with my brother-in-law. Somebody used to go out with my cousins. You know, and there's tensions maybe within the audience that you have no idea about.
I once did a gig in Cushion Doll where I asked the guy in the front row what he did for a living, and everybody giggled, and I was like, "What the fuck he's laughing at?" And he was the local undertaker. And thankfully, it was around Christmas time, so I was able to have a bit of fun with that.
Yeah.
Where it was like, I suppose, were you walking around just measuring people? Do you know what I mean? Can you look at me and guess how much I weigh? And then at one point I went, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I went, "Probably a plague." I still think about that. I've tried to ad-lib that back into other gigs. One day I'm like, hope the fuck there's an undertaker back in. Got that one covered.
At least they left. I mean, it clearly wasn't for them, whatever.
Yeah.
But
that's much better. If you're not enjoying it, fucking walk out of the room.
Yeah,
don't sit there annoying yourself.
Don't come back.
Yeah,
that's the other way. It can be pretty off-putting. Like I had that issue in Newry on Saturday night, and they weren't a bad group. They just were a group of women who were really enjoying it, but doing that thing where they had to translate because there was somebody from Dublin there.
Aye.
So instead of delegating one person to translate, all four of them would translate to the one person at one time.
Aye.
So they'd all turn and went, what he meant was, and we're like, oh, for fuck me, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it does distract the people around them. That's the thing, and that's why the shoulder tap is what it's for. It's not for the comedian.
Yeah.
We'll fire on through, but the people around that person or them people will not enjoy themselves.
And there's only so many times you can stop a show to go, what's going on, and then you have to just.
And especially like you talked about in Derry. Sometimes there's a table who want the attention and want to have the, you know what I mean, and they're the worst cunts.
Absolutely worst people in the world.
Right. Okay. Last week, Yums mentioned Wet Leg. Last week, have you heard their cover of Smoko by the Chats? The Chats are an Aussie punk band. New album, Get Fucked, is worth checking out. Oh, I'm just going to check that out. I see Wet Leg are the support act for Harry Styles at Slane. Harry Styles.
I can't say I know much about Wet Leg now. I can't really remember talking to them last week.
But they said about the bands, up and coming bands. Their album's very good. But Harry Styles at Slane. I know he's trying to go the sort of rock route, and he's
probably a fucking fantastic performer. But I know what you mean.
Like,
there's
my girl was like, Mia was saying to me, like, she goes, you know, Daddy, you should really try it out because Harry Styles is like, he's doing more rock indie sort of stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if he is, but maybe, I don't know.
It's weird because what do you call it? We get Niall Horan. He's really some stuff where I'm like, that's a wee fucking ear catching banger.
I would expect that of him, but you wouldn't expect Niall Horan to fucking headline Slane.
He'd probably come out with Harry Styles. I'd call him now.
Oh,
he'd be a special guest.
There, sure. What? Remember the two of them? Him and Lewis Capaldi were in the fucking at the Fla.
What?
Niall Horan and Lewis Capaldi turned up at the Fla down in Cavan or Navan, wherever the Fla was, singing in the middle of the street and all on the crack, fucking pinting like.
Capaldi's my man.
Oh fuck! Everybody's around going, "What is happening here?"
I saw a video the other week of somebody threw their knickers on the stage and he put them on. Like unreal. Didn't even sniff them.
Oh, lovely. So we'll not be going to. I would actually go to Slane, watch Wet Leg, and leave rather than watching Harry Styles. Fuck that. Right. Well, lads, loving the podcast. Keep up the good work. Question for Mickey: do you remember two women stopping you on Sunday in the Three Kings Port Stewart looking for a photo? Can you give a shout out to Amy and Kirsty for if I've heard once, I've heard a dozen times. Look, I met Mickey.
Amy and Kirsty, it was lovely to meet you on Sunday.
He has no idea who you are.
For the photo.
Do you remember it? No?
Yeah.
You do? All right.
It was in the middle of the day, like.
All right, okay.
I was only half drunk. I was driving, like, when I had 4 or 5 pints.
Next up, Connor, get Mickey a sample of Tamanu cream from Tropic to try on his hands. Yes, okay, I'll chat to my beloved. She is trying to sell Tropic. So,
right.
Yeah, I'll try. She's trying because she might have to give up work and all that sort of ball. So, yeah, I'll get her to take a look. Tamanu, Tamanu cream for Tropic. So apparently it's.
Well, I don't know because I'm really enjoying this Dr. Organic Aloe Vera Gel.
This week's podcast brought to you by.
It dries in well quick, so you can still touch stuff.
Right, all right, lads. What do you make of the video that Conor McGregor posted? It looks an awful lot like he's getting a blowjob. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. I don't know.
No, was it
what video you're talking about? I really genuinely don't know what video they're on about, so I have no idea where it is or where it's based. But
let me see if he's.
I hope it's from D, his lady.
You know, there's loads of videos from here doing setups. I mean, all these could be looking like he's getting a blowjob. He's doing push-ups. Well, he's done some, Nick. It's just.
No, must have been released somewhere. It wasn't been on Instagram, was it?
So it's hard to tell which one of these. Ooh, there's a lady.
Where?
Oh, that's just a good lady wife with a tattoo under her, did I? Fuck, he's a beast of a man.
Wild beast.
But
yeah, I mean, I don't know where the video is. I'm sure if it is real, it'll appear somewhere online. It'll not be hard finding it.
yeah, I don't want to do nothing like phone.
The red panties.
Is that all the questions?
That's us.
You're joking me?
All done.
There's
sir.
more than that.
There's not.
There fucking was.
There's not. That's 18 fucking questions. It's just I've made it so smooth.
No, you didn't answer all of them. What's what you've done?
I have answered every fucking question that's on there.
Let me read these to see. See when that did happen. That did happen. That happened. Fair enough. Fine, yep, fair enough.
Like your
Grand.
uncle. Like your uncle with a red light.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay. Right. Okay. Fuck me up. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Jesus, so
It's wild.
18 questions.
18
Flew
boys.
through it there.
Fired through it.
Fuck, I was only getting comfy.
You'd nearly think we'd done before.
Oh, well.
well.
There you go now.
Oh,
There's me. Just learned how to count to 18.
stranger things
Fuck,
happen, boys.
tell you something, sir. Well, you know yourselves, the usual stuff applies. Leave us a wee review if you want. Tell your friends with Patreon. Keep washing your hands.
Keep sending us questions.
Keep sending us questions.
Yeah.
Look after yourselves.
We love first-time questions. Let us
Love
know if you're a
first-time
first-time
questions,
question.
Merch is going to be on sale soon. You'll be the first ones to see it. I'm getting the final touches done to the special. Let us know what the crack's going to be with that one. I know what the crack's going to be myself. And
we have tickets for sale.
tickets
We
for
have
sale. I do
things.
weddings now. If you want me to do your wedding, it'll cost you a clean fortune, but I'll do it.
I don't do them.
I'll do it for I'll do anything for money.
No.
And I mean anything, daddy. So see you later on. All the best. Bye bye.